Okay, let's talk about 2XKO, Riot's new fighting game that I got to beta test and play a little bit. And honestly, this is coming from a casual fighting gamer, so I'm not going to be able to go in and tell you like the whole technical stuff, but I do love jumping into fighting games mainly because of it's always your fault whether you win or lose. Probably the biggest and most obvious thing that I loved about the game was that it was a team battle. Now, I've always been a fan of kind of like the single fighters, even though I do come from a Marvel vs. Capcom background. I really got into Injustice and kind of Mortal Kombat, things like that. So the team battle part, I was kind of like, okay, let's see. But playing with your buddy, playing online and being able to swap in and out and have your buddy do something awesome or have you do something awesome and being able to cheer each other on and rank up together is a really cool and awesome feeling. And I also love that there's like this solo play to it as well. You can play by yourself, figure out some tags and matchups and things like that. And also if you have a friend and you guys want to do some weird wacky stuff together, you can figure that out as well. The second biggest thing that I liked about the game that is probably a huge draw to the game is the characters. No two characters felt the same at all. They all felt like their own personality, own fighting styles. I felt like you could have your fighter's persona put into the game for you, as well as they respected kind of the League of Legends characters. So if you ever played League of Legends, you could tell that the way that they play in League was similar to how they played in the fighting game, or at least it was reminiscent of it. And so that aspect was really neat and cool. And on a more technical side, I do really enjoy, and this is more of a personal thing, not so much like a critique towards the game itself, but the way that the button inputs work. So like you can kind of queue up your combos, kind of how it is in Injustice, and I think also in like Mortal Kombat. So it's less precise like how it is in Street Fighter, and more along the lines of, you know, you can already have pressed buttons and then be pressing two more buttons while you're mid combo, and the combo just continues to string with itself. The main topics that I didn't really like about the game probably had to be the defensive aspect of the game. Your burst usually lasted a round and a half, and there were like defensive options, like there's a defensive pushback, push the enemy away from you. There's also like a defensive, like you push yourself back, where you kind of jump back instead of pushing them back. I never really found myself using them. I also didn't see other people using them. I don't know if this is just because I am not used to the game yet. There was a lack of it, but I feel like, especially in games like Guilty Gear, I figured out the burst system, the burst mechanic relatively fast, and I felt like I had good defensive options. But this game really is for the aggressive side. Like, it wants you to play aggressive. It wants you to string on combos. It knows that's like the vision that it wants for itself, and I respect that. But there's just some awkward moments where you think you're like, you can dash away from something, but it's not safe to dash because you'll still get hit. So like on the defensive side of the game, there doesn't feel like there's not options. And in defense of the game itself, I wasn't fully using the advancing guard options, but they still, again, wasn't something that I see a lot of people using when I was watching streams or watching other people, or even in the matches that I played, the hours that I played, none of my opponents were really using it. I know it sounds weird, like fighting games not encouraging aggression, but I think like the defense aspect is a bit lacking in the game. On top of that, I wouldn't say that it's so much a bad thing, but the button inputs are different. So instead of having like semicircles or being able to press one button, like if you're pressing a medium button twice and it does different things, it's more or less like every time you press a button with a direction, and each direction does something different. So it's not like crouching punch or top punch. It's like you do whole combos by doing completely different directions, and it's a button input with a direction every single time. So you kind of have to play a little more safe, a little more careful if you're not used to that kind of stuff. And the best way to compare it is kind of like the modern mode that fighting games have been putting in, like the modern Street Fighter 6 mode. If you played it like that, that's what this game feels like in terms of that, with the special buttons and then the directional inputs instead of like the semicircle. It's less of a classic feel and more of a modern feel entirely for fighting games. I it was intimidating at first for me because I wasn't used to it. But then like once I started practicing some combos, I realized, okay, I can get into this. And then with the combos, I noticed that like I was playing Yasuo, who's kind of one of the harder characters to play. Not saying I was good with him or anything like that, but other people who were playing him, I noticed that we were all doing the same combo. It was kind of like a slice and dice combo, knock him up into the air, and then a crisscross with a slam dunk going with it. And it makes me feel like that, like, because these characters are gonna only have like these one entryways to them, but as the game goes on, or as I watched other people playing the game, I saw people using Yasuo's stance way more, doing crazy awesome combos with his stance and stuff that looks like it could fall at any time. And I like seeing more stuff like that. I like seeing the community come and create like awesome things and just being creative with your combos. And the fact that it is a team battling game, I think that's where a lot of the creativity is supposed to come from, because you want the characters to be simple so you can learn multiple characters, so you can play multiple characters. So that just makes sense in my head. When it comes to 2x KO, I feel like the defensive options can be a bit lacking. I know there's a lot there, but it doesn't seem like they're of use other than wanting to use the burst that doesn't come up a lot. I hope they keep to the vision of the game, and I like where it's at right now. All the characters feel unique and awesome and great and personable, as well as the team battling aspect. Playing with your friend is something really awesome and I can get into and want to do more of. So definitely recommend 2x KO. I'm enjoying it. I want to see more of it. I want to play more of it. Until next time, play nice.
Hey, I'm Mario. I like playing video games, watching movies, and Dungeons and Dragons. If you keep getting me in your suggested videos, or you're watching this video right here, consider subscribing. It goes a long way. Thank you.